What's up, everybody? It is Boss Talk Wednesday. All right. Definitely excited to meet you guys with my homegirl, Natalie Lee Martin, the Clarity Coach. She is coming on Instagram. We're on Facebook. We're on YouTube. And now we're on Instagram right here. Guys, like and share this feed. Talking about something real dope today. All right, guys, like and share this feed. We're going live right now with myself and Natalie Lee Martin. You already know it. Sure enough,
We
him.
everywhere.
You heard. What up, fam?
Hey, hey, hey. We everywhere you want to be. Hello.
Listen, that part. All right. So excited because this is week number 31 of Boss Talk Wednesday. Yeah, we've been doing this for 31 weeks. All right. There's something about consistency. There's something about setting goals and not giving up. There's something about even when you don't feel like it, you got to keep going. You got to keep pushing because at the end of the day, consistency is key to going to the next level, right? You can't say, oh, I want to be this, but I'm not doing the right necessary steps to get there, right? It's about consistency with doing the same thing. It's not about always being the best. It's about showing up, right? Because what happens is as you start to practice consistency, what is not right starts to become right. And we want to encourage you guys today for Boss Talk Wednesday about just showing up, being consistent. So Natalie, what's up with you? We ain't talking a minute actually.
I
We talk at least a couple times a
know.
week.
Oh
So
my
what's up,
gosh. Well,
fam?
I've been sick this week, so I am like recovering. My kids got sick, and so like a virus is just going through the house right now.
Mm,
But recovering. But oh my gosh, so much. The funny part is what you just said. I was talking to my community about that today about consistency being strategy. And I said, a lot of people will say, what if you consistently do the wrong thing? Listen, if your motivations are in the right place and you show up consistently, then you're obviously going to get better over time. Don't wait for you to be great at something for you to start. You start just by starting, by moving, by getting up and doing the thing. And
mm.
along the way, you're going to get the clarity that you need and you're going to become better at what you do. So the fact that you started with that was like, oh, we are on the same page as always. Even if we ain't talk, we always on the same page.
Mm. Oh yeah, definitely. And I think that's the biggest part about what we do is consistency. You know,
Mm-hmm.
and going to our topic today, in addition to consistency, one of the biggest things that's so important as an entrepreneur is being the expert of your field,
Yeah,
right?
you do. Mm-hmm.
Um, yeah, so being an expert of your field is so important because a lot of times when it comes to being an expert, when people come to you, right? When people come to Natalie Lee Martin, what do they expect from you, right? What do they want to
Mm-hmm.
experience? So when I come to Natalie Lee Martin, it's just me know this is just me knowing her as a friend. Besides having a good time, I know I'm going to get clarity about
Mm-hmm.
what I'm working on, clarity of my beliefs, clarity of my vision, because she is a clarity coach. For
Mm-hmm.
me, if people are coming to me just for food, they know they're going to expect a good time, a good experience, great food, a nice little setup. People know to expect that because I have become the expert of my field.
Yeah.
When it comes to certain things, I become known because one, I have decided and made the decision to be one consistent, and then
Mm-hmm.
two, I've decided to be the best at what I do. Now,
Yeah.
I'm not saying I'm trying to be better than everybody else. I a lot of times I just focus on me. I don't know who's going on over there, what's going on over there. I just know what's going on with the Chef J experience. You feel me? All
Yes.
right. So listen,
I
background. All right.
love it.
Listen, all I know is next week I got a few days off from work, and I'm trying to get myself in the tropical mood with the shirt and the grass
Mm-hmm.
wall. So I'm like, okay, Jay, where we flying to next week?
Where we
Because
going
I
to
need to
this
get a little
week?
rest. Listen, because I've been consistent at being the expert, so the expert deserves a nice little break.
Come on now. I love that. I'm being consistent at being the expert. So I need to rest. And rest is so important. Yo,
That's
I'm
good.
so excited about this topic because I have not always been the expert at clarity. And
Mm-hmm.
with Josh, with Chef J, I have to say that before, because I know you said now you're the expert when it comes to, food and the
Mm-hmm.
food industry and coaching and all that stuff. But one thing that you've perfected the art of moving on. You have
Mm-hmm.
perfected the art of not sit, and it's good. It's very good. It's some. things that people need to learn. Like being connected to you allows me to run at a pace where I can't just slow down just because I don't feel it no more. You keep a steady pace with anything that you're doing. And when people come and say, nah, it's not gonna get done, you like, all right, you the wrong people. Where my people at? Where the right people at?
Mhm.
And you keep this pace where you're always increasing the level and the intensity as you're running the race. And it looks like even with the Boss Up talks or the Boss Up boot camp, I remember you said this was all of this that we've been doing consistently for the last 8 months, 31 weeks, about to be 8 months coming up.
Hey, wow.
You know what I
Oh,
mean?
I got so excited my phone fell. That's how excited I got just now. I got really excited, like wow, like that's 8 months.
Yes. Yes, 32 weeks will make it 8 months. Well, some of the months they had like 5 weeks in there. So that's why it's a little bit off of you matching. It says like, oh, we only started in April. Hush, I got this. Uh, but you had this idea with somebody else, and you had built out this entire framework, this entire thing, and it just did not pan out the way that you wanted to. But you never said, okay, I'm not going to do this again. When you and I started with Wisdom Wednesday, you said, hey, there's something that I've been always thinking about doing. And you pulled out this whole like spreadsheet with
Yeah,
stuff and ideas. And I was like,
yeah,
yo, we should be doing that because that's so much. Like it was already planned out. You just needed the right person to connect with you. Not saying that the other person was the wrong person, but you needed somebody that could run at the pace that you were running in that moment
that's
to
good.
keep up with what you're doing. And so I love that part of you. Like, when to move on. So many of us don't understand that. We want to hold on to people that are holding on to the old version of us, and they're holding
That's
us
good.
hostage to someone that we no longer are. That's why sometimes marriages fall apart. That's why sometimes partnerships don't work out, because some people are still looking at you. And even if you think about parent and child
That's good.
relationship, a parent has to see a child growing up and becoming a man or a woman, an adult. And sometimes parents refuse to see their children as who they are because they consistently
That's
look at their children
good.
as who they were. And people will do that to us. But you're like, I don't care. If you have that version of me, you and that version of me could stay there. I'm moving on. You've perfected that art. And so people that connect with you have to know that that's who you are, and they have to be willing to perfect that art with you in order to stay where you're going. So I just
It's
had to
funny you
shout
say
you
that.
out.
That's dope. You know why that? You know why I think that happened? Okay, so it's crazy. I was 19, I prayed a prayer, and I said, God, whoever does not need to be a part of my life, allow me to get rid of them. And if it seems like I can't get rid of them, allow them to reject me and let me be okay with it. The significance
Ooh.
of that, yeah. But it started happening too fast, though. Real talk, it started happening a little too fast, right? So the reason why that statement was so important about God, allow me to, who does want my life, allow me to realize it and get away from them. And if it seems like I don't understand or I keep trying, allow them to reject me and be okay with it. A lot of times in
Mm.
our relationships, in love life, business life, we will stay around people who don't mean us any good, right? But when you start
Mhm.
to create a habit of staying around the wrong crowds, the wrong thing will keep happening. You're saying, I don't know why this keep happening to me. I don't know why I'm not growing. I don't know, because you're still being connected to the wrong crowds. So when I made that prayer
Mm.
and God started moving people from my life, it became a point where rejection became such a blessing for me, right? Rejection
Wow.
was such a blessing because I realized that God is removing people out of my life who never belonged there, but I gave them a space. Sometimes we give people a space in our life that never deserved that space, but because we're not really taking time to really communicate with our spirit, communicate with ourselves every single day, because that's what self-reflection is about. When you got clarity and you know your purpose, when those two come
Yeah.
together, and
Yes.
it's heavy when like the gifting on your life and the personal purpose on your life is so strong, it starts to outshadow those who don't belong in your life or in your
Yeah.
circle. And I realized that once those people started to reject me in those crowds or those relationships, I started to elevate in a different light because I realized that, hey, God, you're doing the work I asked you to do. I may not like how it feels.
I
So now that was like 19 years old. So now looking at it 13 years later, I don't know, like 13 years later, I move so swiftly away from people because I know places I don't belong in. And
Oh my gosh.
no matter how much I try to stay in those places I don't belong, God will remind me what was that prayer you prayed? Because I want to elevate you, but sometimes you're not elevated in the season of your life because you're not choosing to get away from the wrong crowds. And sometimes you got to get away from yourself because you're the problem, right? So you have to evaluate every single day. Hey, if I want to be the master of my craft, I have to eliminate people who don't represent me, who don't go like even to, for example, is Elon Musk just bought Twitter, right? You may not agree
Yeah.
what's going on with Twitter, but this even Tyler Perry does too. When he does his movies now and his stuff, he doesn't have a director's room anymore. Elon Musk got rid of the board of directors. Now you may not agree with why they did that, but it came to a place where they eliminated everybody else around them because they had to be focus on what their focus was. Now, mind you, you may not agree with that, but when it comes to your purpose, you can turn it into a positive thing. So if I'm turning to a positive thing, I'm looking at, hey, Josh, you know, you need to be the best chef at this. You want to be the best business coach at purpose. So if I know these are things I want to do, I have to eliminate those who don't belong in my circle so I can elevate to go to the next level and tune out everything else that's not responding to what I'm trying to go after.
Wow. Okay, so Chef J already dropped the first nugget, which is if
I'm
you
not sure
want
you're
to
a little
be.
frozen, fam. You're a little
Can you
frozen.
hear me? It's either you or me. I don't
You
know which
frozen.
one.
It might be me. I don't know.
I don't know either.
I can hear you
Can you
bits and
see
pieces,
me?
but go ahead. I can hear you a little bit.
Okay, what about Facebook? We good? Okay. All right. So, one thing, the first thing I said, you dropped a gem is when you want to become an expert in your field, you got to get where you belong. I love that you say that, which means you got to get with the right community, the right people. You got to start having the right discussions. I keep telling my
That's good.
people, you know, conversations have a way to elevate you and they have a way to keep you stagnant. If you are consistently having the same conversation over and over and over, that's an indicator that you are not moving forward. You need to be having your conversations need to be elevating just as you are elevating. There's a saying that goes around that small-minded people talk about people, but people that have a vision talk about ideas. What are your ideas? What are the things that you are doing? What's the next big thing? I hate to put it that way, but that's the language that a lot of people have. What's the next big thing that you have? The next big dream that you want to implement in your life? And start talking to those people that are also doing big things.
Mm,
One thing that I heard for years, somebody kept saying, or people kept saying, evaluate your circle. If you feel like you are not moving forward, it's the people around you. But I loved my
that's
circle.
good.
I loved the people that I was around. They was with me from the beginning, from the get-go, but I was not making progress. And one day I decided, screw this, I'm done. Y'all, I can't do this no more with y'all. I got to go. And I'm glad I got friends that are like, Natalie crazy. Yeah, okay, but it allowed me to elevate and step out of my comfort zone and connect. I gave myself permission to connect with people that I thought was intimidating. I gave myself
That's
permission to
good.
connect with people who I looked at as legends. But what I didn't realize, because I was in the room, meant that I was one too, because I got access to those type of people. And Chef Jay will start talking to you about how he be going, to these big coaches, and he be flying and going to these conferences, and he be taking pictures with all these people, but he understands who he is. It's not like he's trying to go to these places and, oh,
And
look at
perpetrate.
me. Yeah, he's like, I'm going here because this is who I am. I belong here. Get where you belong. That's so important. Get where you belong. And a lot of times we disqualify ourselves when nobody ain't checking for that. Nobody ain't saying, oh, you're not supposed to be here. Oh, you came through. Why are you here? Which nobody is saying that, but we're saying that to ourselves. So we're keeping the door closed when everybody else is like, come on in, sis. You supposed to be here too. So becoming an expert, man, I can't wait
That's
to
good.
continue talking about that. Because the first thing you said was upgrade your community, get around some people that's thinking on a whole nother level. Don't even stay stagnant to the people that think like you, because the people that think
Yes.
like you may be thinking small like you. Get with
And they
some
can't elevate
people,
you.
you know what I mean, that you got to be like, yo, I'm glad I'm in the room because I need to hear what they got to say. And eventually you'll be speaking the language that they are already speaking. Go ahead, Chef J. I know you got some stuff. Hey,
Okay,
Pastor
okay.
Mike. Hi.
That's good that you said that part. Am I clear on your end?
Yeah, you're clear now.
Okay, yeah, I know what's going on.
The devil. Let me stop messing
Listen.
with him.
No, but it's so good that you say that because, like, for example, I hated using the word celebrity chef. I never liked it. I don't like my face on products, nothing like that. Until one of my mentors said, "But Josh, that's who you are." I said, "But I feel like people are so fraudulent using that." She said, "But are you fraudulent?" I'm like, "No." She said, "Well, that's who you are." And I remember, and I'm gonna repost this part what I'm about to say because I love Dr. Stacia Pierce and Ariana Pierce, the whole Pierce family from Orlando. Well, they're out in Orlando and they're the manifestation coaches. And I remember the first time I knew who she was. Like I already knew who she was. I knew who Dr. Jewel Tinker was, but they knew who I was, right? So I was out in Orlando cooking for Dr. Jewel, and we just happened to do a seafood night because I'm like, Doc, let's do a seafood boil. I know you guys will love it. And so that's when Dr. Stacia came in. She said, my friend's coming by, Dr. Stacia. I'm like, oh, she's coming here. I'm like, all right, cool, cool. Once again, I'm just excited to be in the room, right? And then so next you know, she started seeing the seafood boil. She came in. She said, "Oh my gosh, chef, I just love your stuff. I love your presentation." And I'm like, "She know who I am." And so, like, the thing about that is, when you think about stuff like that, it's just like sometimes we don't feel like we belong in a room, or sometimes we feel as though we're not good enough, or sometimes we feel that little big them, little us, right? But in that moment, it was just like God reminds me is that Jay, like, you're doper than what you think. And so now to this day, like I done invited myself to their home. You get what I'm saying? Like, it came to a point where I knew where I belonged. So sometimes it's just like your bank account may not match where you are mentally, right? Your financial status may not match your mentally. That doesn't mean you don't belong in a room. Some people, you don't realize that they want you in a room. They want to know from you. But because sometimes we feel like we belittle ourselves for certain things about what we feel like we don't know, what I've learned is, and this is the best part about teaching, when I became a teacher, I was like 23, right? And I'm like, man, I know how to cook, but I don't know terminology. So a lot of my students challenged me because I had to know the right thing. So what I did was I became the expert as a teacher. So I ordered books like, I got my books ready. I ordered stuff like the sauce Bible. It wasn't my best thing to make sauces, but now I started studying. I started to become the expert.
That's good. That's good.
Things about pasta, like I want to say, I want to teach my kids how to make homemade pasta. So what I did, I wrote a book about pasta because I want to become the expert.
Wow.
It's full of recipes. Also, too, I brought another, like I really have a lot of books, right? This book right here is What Good Cooks Know. It's a book about, as a chef, what I should know, different tricks of the trade. So when students come to me, I become the expert, right? So right now, what I'm teaching my kids is about measuring and math and baking and why we do what we do. Like, for example, is why do you add baking soda to a dish over baking powder? These are all different things I didn't know. I just knew how to do. But because I want to be the expert of my industry, I'm going to study, right? I think sometimes, too, we become so lazy, feeling that we've arrived that we forget to study, right? And you're never going to be the best. And I'm not saying you're going to be best at better than everybody else, but you're never going to be the best version of yourself if you don't take time to become the expert. And sometimes becoming an expert means is just, hey, let me take 30 minutes out my day to watch a YouTube clip about, let's say, how to bake a cake. Let me watch a 30-minute YouTube video on how to make backdrops. Let me make you get what I'm saying? So it's just like when we wonder why our money isn't reflecting who we want to become. Sometimes it's because we're not taking time to be a student, right? Because it goes back to that sponge analogy. When you're getting knowledge, you're absorbing it, and the sponge is filling up. And then when it's time to regurgitate what you need, it'll come out so easily because you're full of wisdom. You're full of knowledge. So now when you have that client, they may come say, hey, Natalie, I don't know what's going on in my business. Natalie be like, hey, I've been there, but let me show you what I've done as a clarity coach and mastered as an expert of my field. And these steps will help you doing A, B, C, D. Because you've taken time to become the expert. So now with your current fields of study, are you guys taking time to study, taking time to read, taking time to learn, because you can't manifest what you're not practicing. You can't manifest what you're not studying. You cannot pass a test that you ain't studied for. So oftentimes we try to wing stuff that ain't meant to be winged. It's meant to, because you can't wing stuff when you're really meant to soar, right? So I'm going to take the test, but I'm going to study to show myself approved. So I keep saying that, hey, when I get that test, when I get that moment to have the light shining on me, I'm going to be so prepared because I took
Come
time to
on.
become a student.
Let's go. All right. So he dropped the second one. Listen, we ain't even talked before this, but you know how we in sync. Clarity and purpose go together, baby. So the first thing we said is level up your circle. If your
Mhm.
circle is keeping you stagnant, find a new circle, baby. Number two, study your craft. Study your craft. And today is so funny because um this is so right on time. Like I said, I was with my community today, women in ministry and business, and we were talking about things that cause the three things a lack of clarity is causing you. And the first thing was your
Mhm.
resources. It's causing you to see where your resources really lie. And I did an in-depth
Mm.
study today about what resources is. And you wouldn't believe, I thought in my limited thinking, because I'm so smart, I'm the clarity coach, I know everything, that resources were time, money, real estate, like land. Your
Mhm.
resources could be, your social media page, stuff like that. Anything that really supports you becoming wealthier. And that's the definition.
Mm.
A definition is the collective means of supporting itself, a country's collective means of supporting itself or becoming wealthier. So we think of it like the minerals, the gold, the diamonds, the land, the money, the capital, that kind of stuff, anything that's an asset. But did you know another definition of resource is an action or a strategy? A strategy is
Mm.
actually a resource. Another definition is a one's personal attributes and capabilities regarded as able to help. So the things that I study, the things that I learn, the things that I read in books is actually a resource to help me elevate my craft and my business. And it doesn't stop there. A resource is the ability to find quick and clever ways to overcome difficulties. So now we were limiting ourselves to thinking a resource was only time, money, and land. And when God was saying things like, look at your resources, utilize your resources, all of this
What do
with
you
your
have in your
resources,
house, in your
you
hands?
like,
That's
I don't
good.
got no money. I got $1. I only got 50. I only know this particular person. I only connected with this. I have exhausted my resources. God said, remember that day when you were at the grocery store and you didn't have any money at all and you decided to pray and God was going to make a way, and then all of a sudden you found $50 and you were able to pay your bills. Oh my God, that's a resource. It's not the fact that you found $50, the fact that you said, I'm not going to give up, that I'm going to
That's good.
continue to do what I'm supposed to do because I'm going to get what's promised to me. That's a resources. Your ability to overcome difficult situations is a resource, and you limit it to
That's
just
good.
money. You limit it to just time. Oh God, if I had more than 24 hours in a day, I could build this business. And God said, listen, look at what you did when you had 5 kids and you only had 50 cents and you made a meal like nobody else could ever make a meal. You took all your leftovers and you put it together. And these kids was like, oh my God, mom, this is so beautiful. And you created a whole environment and an atmosphere. That's a resource. So you got to study your craft, study who you are, study what you're built
Mm.
with, study what you're made of, so that when you're able to show up in a place, people are not going to deny that you're the one. Because I'm telling you, baby, can't nobody tell me that I'm not the clarity coach. And everybody is going to be saying, Natalie's the number one clarity coach. Y'all need to go get clarity from her. You don't understand what you're doing. You don't know what the business is going. Natalie's the clarity coach because I've been studying my craft. I understand who I am. I waited at the bus stop. I'm going to say this last thing. I'm going to let you have it. I waited at the bus stop. I told people that today. You remember when I didn't have a car?
That's what I'm saying. I remember them cold days.
You remember those cold days. I used to wait at the
Yes.
bus stop by Ferris, trying to catch the number one. My toes would be freezing, and I would be like, God, just make a way. And all I could do for the hour and a half, because some of the buses never came on time, I just prayed and I said, I'm going to stay right here. This bus got to come. And I made it home sometimes 7 o'clock. School got out at 3, sometimes 6:15, sometimes whatever the time I got home. And I was like, but God was building something up in me to now, when it comes to business, I don't care if I got a 0K month or a 50K month. I'm not giving up, because if God called me to it, that's it. It's done, period. And that's it.
Whew.
I know I was a little excited, but
I need to drop the mic on that one. That
you
I'm gonna
got
drop the
me
chapstick on
excited.
that one. Listen, that is so good. No, that is so good. And I think the beautiful part about when we tell these stories, we've been friends for 20
Yes,
years,
20
so
years.
22 years. So we know that what she's saying,
He
this
lived
phone is dropping
it with
again.
me.
Listen, what she's saying, I was there for. What I'm saying,
Yes.
she was there for. So, and that's why it's good with community. You have to build up each other up. But that was so good what you said about that, because didn't Minister Wanda him had a business called With These Hands? Was it her who had that business?
Yes, yep, she
So she had
did.
a business about crafts, right? And in the Bible, it talks about when one of the prophets, he was going through the town. He went to these people's house, and he was like, "Yo, I want y'all to make me a cake." All right. Now, mind you, he didn't even know. Well, he did know that they were preparing to make their last meal to die because there was a famine in the land, right? Because all they saw was, how are we going to make it? How am I going to get through this? How am I going to overcome? I can't see past my limitation. I can't see past the glass ceiling, right? So what happens is she's obedient to what he says about making the cake, right? So next you know, he comes out with the blessing, because the blessing comes when we're obedient to what God is telling us to do. So if you have something that comes in your mind like, oh, I should do this, do it, because that's a level of obedience. It's that first thing you got to make that move to say, all right, God, I'm ready. All right.
Yeah.
It's that move you got to make that says, hey, God's okay, you ready. So I know they're ready. Right. He said, what do you have in your house? All I have is this jar of oil, and I have a clay pot. Go to everybody in your town and ask to borrow a clay pot from them. Ask to borrow a pot, right? So, and what happened was, because in our natural mind, we don't realize what we have. So right here, I have, let's say this is oil. But when we start to allow God to add his super to our natural, you start to realize that everything you needed was already inside of you. So as a prophet began to pour the oil, this never went dry. This never went dry, because what happened was, what you need is already inside of you. Exactly. So that's why when it comes to, when I have a need to pay a bill, right? And this has been me since I started my business. I don't look about what I gotta do. I don't stress about it. I say, okay, Jay, what's the plan? Okay, I got this coming up. I'm about to. What's the plan? Because it's either we gonna pay this bill, we're not gonna pay this bill. We're gonna be broke, or it's either or. And for me, I just know that winning is always the final answer for me.
Yes.
So I'll go through my freezer. What proteins do I have? I'll go through my size. And I'm gonna make a menu based off of that, and I'm gonna make it work. So sometimes it's just like, what do you have in your hands already? And this is why what I do with my clients is I help you tap into your gifts, right? Because when you tap into your gifts are already inside your bank. It's like when God gave the talents out, right? When he gave the talents, the man gave the talents to give everybody a certain portion. And then the man hid it, and he said, you could at least invested it. Mm-hmm. A lot of our gifts we're sitting on, not realizing they're a gift, and we're not investing it. When it comes to everything inside of you, what are you investing? Yes. Everything that you need to be successful is already on the inside of you. Everything you need is inside of you. Everything you need is inside of you. I say it one more time. Everything you need is inside of you. I know for a long time I used to always look at my hands. These hands are made to prosper. These hands are made to be creative. These hands are called to wealth. When you start to speak to these things, you start finding things to do, right? Because what happened is, wisdom is knowing what to do when you don't know what to do, right? So when it comes to that, you have to start really looking at what's in your house. So when we start tapping into our giftings, right? If I know for a fact that I'm a chef, one thing about me, I'm gonna always make money. I'm gonna always find a way. I'm gonna always flip things. I may not have. Listen, I might gotta make a payment arrangement, but guess what? I'm gonna give you partial. I'm gonna flip this. I'm gonna flip that because I realize that everything I need to be successful is in your hands. So what I want everybody doing this live or the replay is take an inventory
Yeah.
of all your giftings. Take an inventory of what you have. For example, is in the kitchen we say first in, first out. So whatever's inside our fridge, we're gonna use it first. So oftentimes we trying to get to the new items, open up the new. You might have had kids that like they open up the new stuff, not open up the old stuff because it's like the old stuff not good enough, or they need to pay attention to that. Sometimes we're skipping past the old stuff, not realizing that there's a blessing in old stuff. And until you get to the old stuff and tap into all of the giftings of that, you're never going to receive the full benefit. So sometimes we wonder, like, man, why am I successful? Man, why nobody know my name now? Why nobody buying my product? Because sometimes we're skipping past the step one, trying to go to step 10. But
Yes.
you missed step 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and 9. And you're like, man, I'm not a millionaire already. Listen, if you don't take the time to work at your gift, you can't get a harvest until you plant a seed. This is what most people are doing. People are eating their seed, they're not sowing seeds, or they're getting distracted when they're supposed to be planting. And next you know, they're looking at, man, that grass sure is green on the other side. Man, I wish I was them. I wish I had their parents. Man, I wish I had their connections. Not realizing that you got the multi-million-dollar idea right inside you, but because you're not taking time to really focus, you cannot see what God has already planted on the inside of you, which was greatness. So stop looking at to the left, to the right, and look inside, because what you need has already been provided.
Come on now. What you need has already been provided. It is in you. One of my favorite speakers, authors, pastors, TD Jakes. Nobody can say nothing bad about him when they're around me. He said, you are one idea away from $1 million. I remember when I heard that in 2014. 2014, you are one idea away from $1 million. And then I read that 9 Habits of Millionaires. There were 9 long things that I couldn't do, but there was one thing that I saw on that list. I said I could start that today, and that was making your bed every day. They had a statistic about majority of millionaires make their beds. It was like 80-90% of millionaires make their beds every day. And what they did, they went into it and said that they are starting a habit. They know that consistency, the habit of consistency, really is the thing that motivates them or propels them into $1 million. And they start with making their bed when they wake up every day. And I said, I could do that. If there's no, I can do nothing else on the list. I can't even remember what else was on the list. But since 2014, I have been consistently making up my bed. I think there's 5 times in my life since 2014 that I have not made up my own bed. But it just helped me build up momentum, and it also helped me build up confidence in me that when the thought comes to my mind, girl, you a quitter, baby, I've been making up my bed since 2014. There is no quitting in me. It just may seem difficult in this moment, but I need something to help me boost my confidence. And you got to start with the little things. A lot of the times we're trying to do the big things. And like Chef J said, you cannot skip the process. You cannot bypass the process. And the Bible says, if you are faithful in the little things, then you will be faithful in the big things. And too many of us have never been faithful in the little things. Too many of us are trying to do things for other people, and they have not done it for themselves. You're trying to keep a commitment to somebody else, as Stephen Covey would say, another one of my favorite authors. But it starts with you first. Whatever you do in private, that exudes, and you do that same thing in public. That's why a person that's phony and fake cannot fake it forever. They eventually show their true colors. So let me get back to this list, because Chef J been dropping some gems, and y'all,
that's you.
I'm writing them out.
He said, excited about that last situation. That's why I'm like, yo, you showing out.
You showing yo, we about to show out even more, because it's not over yet, y'all. We got y'all till about 4:20. Number 1, level up your circle if you want to become an expert in your field. Number 2, study your craft. And sometimes you need to study how you were made. Your craft includes how you were built as well. Number 3, see past your limitations. You got to be able to see beyond your current situation, beyond who you are right now, and see you as your future self. That's why he keeps talking about becoming your best self. Who are you going to be when you have $1 million? Who are you going to be when you become the CEO of the company? Who are you going to be? For some of you guys, you want to be mothers and fathers, you want to be married. Who are you going to be when you are in that particular situation? Forget about where you are right now. Start focusing on who you be when you get there so you can see past your limitations. And number 4, one of my favorite things that took me a while, and I'm so glad Chef J is here with you, because this one step will help you accelerate the process. You cannot bypass the process, as he said, but you sure can accelerate it. You sure can move faster than you did before when you are by yourself, and that's partner with another expert.
That's
Partner with
good.
somebody that has already mastered this thing. Stop trying to move slow and steady because you read the book about the turtle and the hare. No, you can accelerate the process if you partner with somebody who already mastered it. You don't have to keep trying to figure out what's your purpose. You don't have to keep trying to dig and, oh my gosh, I don't know one day, I know the next day. Partner with Chef J. He's a professional at this. He's an expert at digging and finding people's purpose. He got it down to a science that you could come into a specific number of coaching sessions and you'll leave ready to go. And now if you are needing clarity on the process of your purpose, then holla at your girl, because I can help you do that. I've got it down to a framework that if you are in business and you're like, man, I'm still struggling to figure out who I'm talking to, who I'm serving, why am I even doing this? Then you need to come and get a clarity session with me so that we can go through this framework so that you can be confident. Because what clarity does is give you the confidence that you need to move forward even when the days get dark. Because trust and believe, entrepreneurship is going to get dark on certain days. It's going to get crazy some of the time, but you got to be sure, you got to be confident that you got the solution and that you are the one that they need to call. So that's the the 4 steps to becoming an expert in your field. And the last one, partner with another expert. Don't do it alone. Don't do it alone.
Those are really good things that you said too. And one thing my mentor says, she has this YouTube clip. When I say if anybody I follow, go follow Dr. Stacia Pierce and Ariana Pierce. Dr. Stacia has said it's not that you have a money shortage, you have an ideal shortage. What happens is we're looking for the next big thing, or I need the money, I need this, I got this bill, I got that bill. When the whole goal is no. Let me tap into my ideas, because remember, everything you need, you already got it. So if you have everything you already need, if it's all in you, start researching. So this is another thing too is, so I had this one kid last school year, I think he had an IEP. So if you don't know what an IEP is an individual educational plan, correct?
Yep.
Is that right? Okay.
So you're right.
Well, got to make sure. It's a lot of acronyms to teach it,
I know, right?
SGO, all this stuff. So an IEP, basically, let's say if you have a child who is special ed or has special needs, right? The teacher will come up, the child study team, everybody will come up with an individual plan for this kid to be successful. So this one kid started working for me, and he just really didn't, he had a problem articulating certain things with understanding because in the kitchen is fast paced. It's like this, right? And if you can't get with this, you're going to be left behind and probably going to lose your job. And I said to him, I said, hey, do you have an IEP? And he was embarrassed. He said, kid, do you have an IEP or not? I'm not trying to be funny. I said, but here, the reason why you have an IEP, and this is what they teach in a lot of white schools, not black schools. The white kids know their IEP like the back and front.
Yes.
The reason why knowing why your IEP is so important is your individual education plan. What that means is, as a special needs student, I can get access to the things I need because they have taken time to figure out ways to help me learn. So, hey, I may need you to repeat it to me twice. I may need like everything in that plan. It can be like 20 pages. It will have everything that kid needs to be successful. Now, when I said that to him, I said, when you go back to school, ask the child study team, can you see IEP, and ask them, what are the ways you learn? Ask them, what are the ways you learn? And then now when you come back to work with me, we'll go over that. The reason why that's so important is so oftentimes we're trying to be successful, we don't even know how we learn. Because when you take time to study, like for example, some people don't like reading books. You may need an audio book. when you take time to get to know you and how you learn, you become more successful at accomplishing your goals because you've taken the time to say, hey, you know what? I may not learn best by studying at nighttime because I'm sleepy.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe I need to wake up at 7 a.m. to give
That's so
myself 30 minutes to
important.
study.
Yeah.
Maybe I work better when I have a cup of coffee. Maybe that works for me. Maybe I may need to read things 3 times to get it. Maybe I have to write things down for me to remember it. So what happened is when you start to study you and how you learn, success becomes so much faster because you're giving yourself permission that, hey, I don't care how it looks, no matter how it's going. I'm going to take the time to learn best how I learn. So there's so many of us that are out here trying to be successful when one, we don't even know what's the roadmap for us to even practice being successful because we
Exactly.
haven't taken time to do it. So once you start really every single day taking steps to say, hey, I want to be successful. I want to master, let's say I want to master fondant cakes, right? Fondant cakes are those pretty cakes that have the stuff over, right?
Mm-hmm.
But if you don't know how to frost your cake first, right, the fondant gonna be crooked. So let me take time to
Yes.
feel like the best way for me to make fondant. Because I had cakes that was lumpy because I knew how to roll out the fondant, but I didn't know how to put it on right. So oftentimes we're putting things on us that we don't even know how to put it on right. It's like going to IKEA, right? And I just start putting it together. I don't even read the instructions. I don't even glance at the instructions. I just start putting it together piece by piece. This and then next you know, it'd be wobbly like this when you touch it. It'd be wobbling. Now I'm like, oh man, maybe the screw's over there. I didn't take time to even read the manual to see,
Come
okay, yeah,
on.
this is how you learn. Like even so those manuals have in different languages, French, Spanish. Some
I
of us
love that
start
you
in
brought that up.
Spanish. Yeah,
Come
so we try to get a
on.
manual in Spanish. When we read it in English, it's stop. Listen, you have to take time to know how you understand. If you don't take time to understand how you learn and process information, how can you become the expert? How can I become the expert of a purpose coach if I don't take time to realize
Yes.
what's the purpose of each one of my gifts? So you want to take time to realize, how do I learn?
Yeah.
If you're on this live and you want to really accomplish all these goals in 2023, 2024,
Mm-hmm.
the whole next decade, and you don't know how you learn, stop trying to do everything and go back to, okay, what are the 3 best ways I learn?
Come
Am I
on.
a good study at nighttime? Do I study better at daytime? Do I study better by listening to audiobooks? Do I study less to watching the video? Or am I better at reading? Learn how you learn so you can learn how to be
Come on.
successful in a speedily way because success loves speed, but you got to find out what ways create speed for you.
Yeah. And you know what? I think that's why you and I are such great coaches. I hate to say it like that, but I got to. It's because we've been educators before and we've been in
Yeah.
environments where we have had diverse learners and we have had to figure it out. So even our own background is a resource for us
Mm-hmm.
as we've now transitioned into the entrepreneurial space and now have positioned ourselves as experts in business, as coaches in clarity and purpose. And I know for myself and Chef J, we've also had to utilize the fact that we know how we learn and transition that to entrepreneurship. So
Mm-hmm.
when I first came into entrepreneurship, there's a language to it. It's a language to this place. It's like going to Spain and never having speaking Spanish before, or even
Mm-hmm.
speaking a little bit of Spanish, and you go to Spain and you're like, oh my gosh, it's so different out here. Why is the Spanish that I learned in school not equating to the Spanish over here? I'm not understanding. They not getting me. And just being immersed in that culture and learning how to learn, how to have conversation. And that's what entrepreneurship really is. It's a different lay of the land. It's a different way that people see things, that people interact with each other, how you network. All of that is different. And you want to be able to, you can go into entrepreneurship by yourself and do it on your
Mm-hmm.
own, just like you can go to Spain by yourself and eventually you'll pick up the language, you'll learn certain things. But how about if you want to do it faster? Get a guide.
Mm-hmm.
Get somebody that, not somebody who you read about it in a book, but somebody who's actually lived in that place, lived in Spain, since we're talking about Spain, who actually know. And you want to sometimes get a native that knows English and
Mm-hmm.
Spanish and knows the lay of the land. That's what it's like when you are entering into entrepreneurship with a coach. That's what it's like when you are entering into your field and you're trying to become an expert with a coach, is you're going with a guide, somebody that
Mm-hmm.
knows the lay of the land, knows the language, somebody like us who've also struggled in this area and field, who's
Listen,
failed many, many times, but also has successes. You want somebody to walk with you. And we're not like, we'll hold your hand for a little bit, but we're also the type of coach like you do it too. You figure it out too. Like
listen,
we
bye bye
can,
birdie.
yeah, you know what I mean? Like we don't have time to move at what would some people say the pace of grace, which what really means is we're going to inch slowly like a worm. No, you can do this thing faster. You can do this thing with more power and authority, as we would say in the Christian, but in the realm of entrepreneurship, with expertise. When you speak a thing, you're so confident and sure in
Hmm.
what you know because you've tried it many times and certain things failed, but you know the successful path. Like you want to be able to do that because that when you step into your arena, and it's not so much that you know everything because you don't know everything, but what you know, you are confident in and you're
That
able to
part.
get results. I'm not telling you because I'm just doing it because it makes me feel good. I'm telling you because there are results, there are testimonials, there are people's lives that have been impacted and affected by what we have done, by what we have built, and
Yeah.
what we continue to share freely on a live. You can take, I will bet you any amount of money that if you take what we told you today and you literally apply it, and I have to use the word literally because sometimes when I say things, people think it's figuratively, just dream about it and think about it. But when you actually start to do it, when you start evaluating your circle and saying, I'm not calling you back, I'm not answering your phone call. Now we can't have a conversation today. When you actually start reading books, I love talking about clarity and vision. So I have the Vision Driven Leader. I have 17 Reasons Why, and Chef J already showed his book, so I'm trying to show up too. 17 Reasons Why Businesses Fail. Like
That's
when you
good.
read these books, when you have highlights, I'm not just talking about, I just read the book. I got highlights in there. I'm writing notes
That's
down. When
good.
you've studied your craft, when you see beyond your limitations and you start speaking who you are, not who you currently are, catch that, who you
That's good. Say it
become,
one more
not who
time.
you
Say it one
are.
more time. Say it one more
When you
time.
start speaking who you become, not who you currently are, and when you partner with another expert, Chef J is another expert. When it comes to certain things, I holler at him. I've actually paid for coaching. Chef J has well thousands of dollars we have paid to
Yes.
sit in somebody's session for them to help us unclutter some things. Like when you've done that, then you can show up and become the expert. Then you can show up and be like, this is how you do this thing. This is, come partner
That's
with me
good.
because I've been there. I've seen the way. I've seen it dark, and I've been able to flip the light on and see it with the light on as well. You need to partner with me. So I say all that to say, if you're looking for a purpose coach, that's your man right there. You already heard him speak, but I need to amplify what he said. He is the man. He got that move on spirit. And it's not like I'm leaving you behind. It's I'm moving from where I do not belong
Yeah.
to where I belong. And he will help you get in purpose so
Mm.
deeply and so rooted that nobody can come and say a thing and you be like, oh, okay, maybe I should do this. No, no, no. This is where I belong. Get with him. If you need clarity in your business, if you need clarity with your processes and your procedures, you're like, Natalie,
Mm.
I started the business, but just it's not making any sense to me anymore. Then holler at your girl. This is what we're here for. This is what we have studied and worked hard. This is what we have failed and climbed out of failure and succeeded in order to do, is to help you get the level of success that you deserve because
That's
that's who
good.
you're becoming. And that's all I have for you.
Listen, you done wrapped it up today. That's dope. Yeah, like that's very good what she said, guys. So definitely you want to click link in our buyers for coaching. If you're looking to take your business and scale it to the next level, you want to really just really connect. You know,
Yes.
sometimes your coaches see things in you that you don't see. Like when it
Yes.
comes, and sometimes your coach, like especially in the classroom setting, we see the problem and the
Mm-hmm.
solution before you even try because we see what you're doing wrong. And so it's just like you want to be in a space where you feel comfortable being coachable. And when you feel in a space feeling comfortable, trust your coach. We're building a safe
Yeah.
space for people to really not be afraid to ask for
Yeah.
help. Closed mouths do not get fed. If you're looking to be successful, open your mouth, ask for help. Or you can still be in the same situation that you're in right
Yep.
now.
Right
it's
now.
it's simple. You
It
either
has
want to
been.
grow or you don't want to grow, and that's no shade to nobody. But once again, like Natalie said, we got that move on spirit, and we about to move on off this live and keep it pushing to next week. Uh, listen, guys, click the link in our bio. Natalie had even too. Natalie has a journal that you guys want to check out as well too. About start journaling your thoughts, journaling your ideas. I have 3 online courses ready to go as well too. A social media
Let's
marketing course. If you
go.
want to increase your social media, that's the course you could take. If you want to find out your purpose, I have that available on link in my bio, as well as I have another course where it's a private chef situation. So if you look for any of these things, click link in our bio, click link in Natalie's bio, and we're here to help you guys.
Yep.
Closed mouths does not get
Yep.
fed. So listen, once again, thank you for watching the Boss Up. Building opportunities strategically and successfully is what we do. So
Successfully.
click link in our
Yes.
bios, get in the communities, and that's it, fam. That's what we got for you today. All right.
That's
Have a
what
good
we
day on
got.
purpose. Yeah. All right, we out.